Let's get into it. Coach Colin here. Those were eights. Those are eights, those claps. Let's jump right into it. Coach Colin here. Candace has some new information. Absolutely fire information. She just came through with a windstorm of a series, kicked up so much dust on X. People are just going nuts. The Philadelphia supporters don't know what to do with themselves. Here's how we're going to do it. Candace has new information, so we're going to be showing you that at first. Then I'm actually going to show you a creator that enforces what she's saying because he's done the tests in regards to the firearm and the type of bullet and what that would do to somebody's neck. So he's done the testing, okay? You can't wait to see that. It's a demo. Then he actually goes through what they're saying in the official narrative, and he's not just debunking it with words. He's showing you angles and everything. This guy's absolutely great. Valhalla VFT. Then I'm going to show you another clip. Candace Owens talking about possibly 2 shots going off and the bullet coming from a different firearm. Again, this is not just Candace saying this. I have another creator who is very skilled and experienced, and he's reinforcing what she's saying. Let's jump right in with Candace's fire info.
I'll tell you right at the top, I can't tell you exactly who the information came from or which parties were involved in giving me this information because I don't want to get anybody in trouble. But I can say that I have positively verified something about the injury that Charlie sustained to his neck that I think is going to go a very long way in terms of helping those of us who have been sleuthing, those of us who want answers, those of us who are dedicating our time to this because what we are being told by the authorities beggars belief. As John and Arena Mappin said, it just simply beggars belief. We also want to make sure that we are presenting evidence and debunking one another where we can so that all of us can collectively zero in and build upon whatever facts we have in this decentralized investigation. This is about the injury, okay? So Andrew Colvett was, I can tell you, telling the truth in part when he wrote that very long tweet in which he tried to explain why there was no exit wound. Do you recall this? Long story short, he said, I'm going to read it. I want to address some of the things that the lack of an exit wound, about the lack of an exit wound with Charlie. I'm usually not interested in delving into most of this kind of online chatter, and I apologize if this is somewhat graphic, but in this case, the fact that there wasn't an exit wound is probably another miracle, and I want people to know. I just spoke with the surgeon who worked on Charlie in the hospital. He said the bullet absolutely should have gone through, which is very normal for a high-powered, high-velocity round. I've seen wounds from this caliber many times, and they always just go through everything. This would have taken a moose or 2 down, an elk, etc., but it didn't go through. Charlie's body stopped it. I mentioned to his doctor that there were dozens of staff, students, and special guests standing directly behind Charlie on the other side of the tent, and he replied, it was an absolute miracle that someone else didn't get killed. His bone was so healthy and the density was so impressive that he's like the man of steel. It should have just gone through and through. It likely would have killed those standing behind him too. In the end, the coroner did find the bullet just beneath the skin. Even in death, Charlie managed to save the lives of those around him. Remarkable, miraculous. Now, keep that up for just a second because it's really around here. His bone was so healthy and the density was so impressive that he's like the man of steel that we just went, something's not right. Something's not right. A lot of stuff's not right. I just don't know why a surgeon would be saying something that actually only the medical examiner, somebody that specializes in forensics, could really contribute. Yes, a surgeon can tell you, or actually any person with common sense can tell you that your bone density is better when you're younger, but this seemed a little bit too performative. Now, I can tell you the part that he is telling the truth about is that Charlie's neck indeed did stop the bullet without question, okay? And this is going to dispel a lot of theories that are out there, and I'm telling you this 100%. Charlie Kirk was shot from the front, and the bullet did not exit, and at least a fragment of the bullet was recovered from his neck. And I'm going to tell you exactly where it was recovered from. I have fact-checked this information from multiple sources now. I've actually been sitting on this for a little bit over a week.
Guys, this is a serious message. As you can see, I'm not even in uniform. I'm not wearing the signature hat. So, very serious message. 59% of you are not subscribed. Please, guys, hit that subscribe button. We're trying to get to 500,000 subscribers. The road is long, but I know that we can do it. Please hit the subscribe button. Please hit the notifications. Please hit the like. If you want to keep seeing this content, if you want to help me move from being the Joe Rogan clip guy onto better, greener pastures, you gotta hit the like, you gotta hit the subscribe. It helps me tremendously. That is all I ask. Let's get back to the episode.
Right around here. So think about almost in line with your shoulder blade right in the center. Now, why is that helpful? Because it gives us a bullet trajectory, okay? It went in here where you saw that, and it was stopped, and a fragment was pulled from, think right, if you're just touching your spine in line with your shoulder blade. That leads us, obviously, to the part that he's maybe not being forthcoming about. They did not recover a bullet from a 30-06. They didn't recover a bullet from a 30-06. It just didn't happen, okay? If they had found a 30-06 bullet, Charlie's death certificate certainly would have reflected that. In suicide situations, as just one example, medical examiners, feel free to chime in. I've spoken to quite a few. But when the gun and the bullet are known, they are reflected onto the death certificate, okay? There is not one reflected onto Charlie Kirk's death certificate.
See, that right there, right? So there are some creators, like I saw the Quartering, is that what his name is? I don't know. I don't know the guy. People have said that I should have him on the podcast or vice versa, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know him. But he was like, oh, is Candace saying she has access to the birth certificate? LOL. Now, I'm also saying that. Does she have access to that? But I'm not saying it in a condescending way. I'm saying that if she does, she has either been able to communicate through her people. You got to remember, Candace actually has a team of people. And she has an audience that's actually sending her tips constantly. And this could be anybody who's willing to send a tip, you know? So either she's had communications. I don't know who would have a death certificate before the family. Maybe the coroner, maybe the people involved going, you know, handling things afterwards. Or Erica. That has been a theory that I've seen some of you bouncing around. A couple of you have mentioned that. And I also thought that because Erica said one thing. She said, I know everything when she hosted Charlie's podcast when she was on there. She said, I know everything. And, you know, people don't know what that means. Like, what does that mean? Well, it's like, you know, Andrew is releasing text messages, screenshots. She was probably privy to the text messages and to talk about the whole thing with Charlie. She probably knows Charlie's view in and out. Now, she probably knows it evolving, etc. She probably, you know, knows everything. It's his wife, right? And he was a family man, always around his kids, always around his wife. But also, Erica followed Candace. They weren't following each other at first. And then Erica made sure to follow Candace. Now, why would you do that? If you didn't want to see, if you felt like everybody else, or like, she's crazy, she's this, she's that, then you'd probably be like, well, I'm glad I'm not following her. But instead, she was like, I want to see what she has to say. Or she thought, I want to make a line of communication between me and Candace. You know, some people are thinking like, how are you getting this information? Well, maybe that's the source. Now, I don't know. It's just a theory, right? Allegedly, maybe. But I mean, it's not the craziest thing to think, right? I mean, God forbid when something happens to someone you're close with, the people they were close with, you tend to want to pull them in. You kind of want to know, especially when one of them is an investigator like Candace is. You're kind of like, listen, they're doing their thing, but I want to know what you think. I want to know what you know. And if I tell you some stuff, can you like decipher this information for me? Just a theory, just bringing that up, because how does she have access to that death certificate? How does she know that for sure? Let's jump in.
Because they did not recover a bullet from a 30-06. Hunters and military men rejoice. It turns out that common sense still rules the roost, okay? You guys were right. You were absolutely right. And this is why I hate politics, because it requires us to submit to the idea that we were all somehow born yesterday. That it really can just, life really can just be a Marvel comic with people that are, I guess, a DC comic where there are men of steel that are able, because they're young, to stop 3,000 pounds of energy that is coming at them. That didn't happen. So where does that leave us, guys? Well, the part that is now extraordinarily suspicious is that Andrew is claiming that he had a conversation with the surgeon who offered up the idea that it really was just your modern Christian miracle, that Charlie was just young and his bones had a lot of density, which made him stronger somehow than a Cape buffalo, enough push-ups and asparagus, and you too can stop 3,000 pounds of energy coming at you. What are we to make of that? What are we to make of the fact that Charlie did not do that, actually? It means that he was shot with a completely different kind of gun, obviously, okay? The kind where this would make sense, that it didn't cut through him. The kind where it would make sense that outside of an artery effectively exploding from the front, there was, his neck didn't explode, which that particular weapon that they were trying to tell us Charlie was killed with would have gone through about 7 necks, okay?
So she's actually not wrong about that at all. She's actually correct about that, but I'll show you that later in the video. Now, a lot of people heard what you just heard. Now, this person was good enough to actually find an extended clip, but a lot of people were working off of a pretty much 1 minute 1 minute and 25 seconds, so 1 minute 40-second clip of Candace talking about this. And I noticed that so many people just decided, this guy's one of them. This guy's one of them. Bryson? I don't know the guy. We've had a back and forth before. He blocked me for a little bit, but he unblocked me. So I got to see this. Not following him anymore, whatever. But right away, he started talking about it. She's like, she just confirmed that Charlie was shot from the front and there was no exit wound. She confirmed that there was a fragment of the bullet, things that we've known for weeks now. A lot of people who don't like Candace, who are in the camp of her being crazy, are acting like as if she's now pushing the official narrative. And because you heard that extensive clip, I'm pretty sure you can gather that's not what she's going with. She's still pushing against the official narrative and also making more sense, honestly. And if you don't think so, trust me, by the end of this video, you will. So it's just interesting. I always make sure to find, if I see a clip on X, I go find the source of it if I can, just so I can see like 3 minutes before and 3 minutes after and just bring that chunk to the people, because you can't just go on 1 minute. And all the people that dislike Candace were just going on a 1 minute and 30-second clip. And they're like, oh, look at her now. She's backtracking. She's backtracking. Believe me. You find the source clip, not only do you get to bring people a more in-depth version of what everybody's seeing on X, but you also get to bring them other stuff. Now, this is her talking a little bit more about her theory down the road in the episode, where she's talking about there being 2 shots and a different firearm. Let's jump in.
So he's telling you that shot was closer. So what gives? Also, why is everybody telling lies? I want to be very clear. It's possible that people at Turning Point are simply terrified. That's definitely a possibility here. They are very much aware of what these people are capable of, and maybe they're just trying to get by, and they're being told what to say and what to do, and they want to keep the peace. But here's what I think may have happened. I think that I accidentally ruined the Fed narrative. I think the plan was to never allow the back footage of Charlie to see the light of day. It never was allowed to see the light of day. That way, they were going to say that they recovered a 30-06 bullet, right? Instantly, we recovered a 30-06 bullet. They were, maybe when they were digging stuff up, and there it was, and it went through, we wouldn't have known, we would have been none the wiser, right? No one else is telling us anything or showing us anything. And I think they were going to say, or the other option, like it completely took his neck out, we wouldn't have been any wiser. But then I watched it, And the thing that jumped out at me was that not only did the bullet not pierce through, that there wasn't a single dot of blood on Charlie's bleach white shirt until he falls out of frame and onto the ground. I think we accidentally ruined what they were going to try to do to frame this. I think they wanted this to be a 30-6 narrative. And now they're going to have a lot of difficulty getting that through a courtroom. They panicked. They tried to explain it away. They're saying that it's a miracle. I don't think it is. It obviously was not a miracle. I think it is likely that what we should be looking for are two people that had weapons that day. Somebody that was in the audience, somebody that was elsewhere with a rifle. That explains also why, by the way, when I take a look, there's so many adults. There's no UVU kids that were in the mainstream media. Cooper's not even a UVU kid. He's not a TPUS kid. Why were they not able to find UVU students to say what it is that they heard and what they saw that day? And what's really interesting is I told you guys already about Nick, who has been assisting me on the ground. And one of the first things he said to me was that I felt like they were coming around, the feds were coming around, and they were trying to implant memories into our heads. So he was like, I felt like there were these people walking around that we didn't recognize, and they were like, you heard one shot, we heard one shot, we heard one shot. And he's like, I know that sounds weird and conspiratorial, but it seems like they were trying to make us believe that this is what we heard. And it's interesting also because remember, when Phil Lyman gave us his footage and he walks outside of that building, the two now infamous goth girls who are not goth at all and they're just wearing black, they say that they heard two shots. They never made it to Fox News. They never made it to the mainstream media, but they too also said that they heard two shots. Take a listen.
You see where that came from? It was right here, wasn't it?
It was like over here.
Yeah.
What can I say, guys? I think it's pretty obvious that our instincts about this have been correct from the very beginning. We probably need to be now looking for a shooter that was in the audience and to the left. I've seen you guys. I saw some guy on Alex Jones that created he created a whole web and explained and did this all on a computer of where the trajectory would have to go. We need you again, ballistic YouTubers, gun people, gun enthusiasts, military men, the people that they're discounting and saying you have no right to get clicks. No, please get clicks. Explain to us what it is that you know in this decentralized intelligent agency, given the information that I am telling you, okay, that unless we have a bullet that's doing the worm like a WWE wrestler, okay? Bullets fire straight. And this one went straight into the front left lower side of his neck, essentially exploded his artery and did not exit out of the back. But that is where a bullet fragment was found. So map it out for us.
This is very, very, as I'm hearing this, I know some people might not agree with this. I think Charlie would love this. I think anybody who had something crazy happen to them like this, if they were able to look down and see, they'd be like, okay, somebody's fighting for the truth. Like even if there is an official investigation, you know what I mean? You'd still want people, like how great would it be if you survived something and you found out like the police department's doing like a little bit of what they do, but you have like 5 friends and they're just out there and they're pounding on concrete and they're going to doors and they're finding footage and they're doing all this stuff. You'd be like, oh man, those are my best friends. Like, thank God those people exist and they're trying to do this for me. I don't know. I know I would. I'd be over the moon if somebody was trying to just ask questions. Because it really seems like for the official, whoever's handling the official narrative, it seems like they're done asking questions. Now, of course, they're compiling a case and everything like that. I understand. But they're also done asking questions. It seems that way. I will say it does seem that way. And we've seen them do it before, sometimes things just go on Pam's desk, that Bermuda Triangle that is Pam's desk, and things just disappear and they're like, I don't know, did you see it? And Dan's just like, I don't know, you can trust me, but you don't have to trust me. And Cash is like, what's it? And then the next thing you know, case closed. You don't want that to happen. Anyway, let's let's jump in a little bit with what she was saying. There being 2 shots, somebody in the crowd. That's what I wanted to say. Now, to the left, I don't know what that would be. Someone to the left. Because it would be, but it seems like it was a very clear, like, it didn't seem like that type of thing. It seemed like this type of thing, coming this way. So maybe to the left in regards to, like, you're looking at me, and then you go a little, this is my left hand. You go a little to the left, maybe to the left to that extent in the crowd, middle, front of the crowd, something like that, perhaps. But then you would think everyone's going to see that person. How could that possibly be? That's my first thought. Now, what she is suggesting, it kind of dispels everybody thought, and do I want to show this to you guys? I'm tired of seeing the thing actually happen to Charlie. You know what I mean? I'm not liking seeing that over and over again. But I'll show you this. Right? I'm not gonna play the video. There he is, man. Not even in his prime yet, man. Not even in his prime yet, man. So there is somebody on this side, right? So this little shoulder that you see here, this is the dude that people said was doing the signal when he, like, touched his arm like that. He's the guy with the glasses. He actually had meta glasses on. He would actually be someone for Candace to show footage of, but he's a part of that security team, so he's not going to. And then there's somebody, not the guy in white who does the other signal. There's someone in the crowd beside those guys, and a lot of people were like, that guy did it. That guy did something right as Charlie got hit. What Candace is saying dispels that. It debunks that. Now, not really, but she's pushing against that with her theory. And then there's another theory that there's somebody off to this side in the crowd. Now, what people say about this dude, and I can't find that exact clip. There's so many clips to go through in the file that I have. But this guy, people claim he had some kind of detonator. So he was off to the left, but the theory is with this guy that everybody's looking at is that he had some kind of detonator. So that doesn't go with Candace's theory either. Just bringing up anything and everything. Now, let's jump over to this gentleman right here who did some fine work right here. I mean, just great. So he's showing you what the C2 is. He's showing you it's just great information. Let's just jump right in. Valhalla VFT. Let's go.
I don't know how to put this nicely. If this medical examiner report or autopsy report is true, the FBI and the prosecution are, let me put it lightly, I guess, because essentially the idea that Tyler Robinson took the shot from where he took it at the angle he took it and caused the damage it did to Charlie with the round that's used is actually not possible. So this is going to be a very interesting video. First thing we're going to take a look at is what this report says.
My understanding from speaking with a couple of people high up at Turning Point USA, they let me know that the injury took place right below the jaw in the C2.
Uh-oh.
The bullet crashed through C2 all the way through C7.
Uh-oh.
And then they found the bullet lodged in that meaty area around T1, the thoracic first vertebrae.
All right, so I don't know Stephen Gardner. I don't really watch his stuff. I'm going to assume he's operating in good faith here and that he actually heard what he heard. And, somebody else also came out and said that they've seen or supposedly heard about this same autopsy report.
I confirmed, obviously, because I have connections, and I confirmed that the autopsy was done. I don't want to say too much, but the autopsy yielded where the entry wound was and how the bullet killed him. It's already been determined. They found the bullet lodged in his body. They can tell you exactly where, what was severed.
This guy's the worst because even everybody else is saying fragment, this, that. He's like, oh, it's lodged. I don't know how this guy became such a tool over the past, 2.5 months. This guy just became some kind of tool. It's terrible. Even Warren Smith is buying this guy's stuff right now. Anyway, keep going. That's my bias there. Don't worry.
What killed him, where the bullet traveled, from his neck down through his body. They have it all, fragmentation of the round that spouted through his body. They have all of that.
Okay, they have it all. They've got it proved. Let's see if this even works mathematically or scientifically. Let's jump into it. All right, guys. So basically a middle school math problem. This isn't that hard to figure out. We know that according to the medical examiner report, this 30-06 round came in, hit him in the C2, traveled down. All right. You guys are going to notice some huge problems with this right away, but let's go ahead and, just look at this objectively. All right. We got a protractor out. Let's put that right here on the C2. Okay. We do know, again, from where Tyler Robinson was shooting, it was a 9-degree slope with a 9-degree offset, essentially meaning almost directly on at a 9-degree slope, which we can travel out from our protractor from the C2 here at 9 degrees. Perfect. All right. As we pull the protractor off, what's the first huge glaring issue you guys are going to see here? Oh, well, if Charlie Kirk was sitting level, sort of parallel to the ground with his jaw, which he was, let me show you that real quick. All right, so we can see Charlie Kirk is not got his head all the way back like this. He's sitting pretty much flat, looking at the crowd, sort of jaw parallel to the ground as he gets hit. Boom, hit. So you can see that, right? It's actually a little bit of a tilt down even, okay? So let's look at this anatomically. All right, this is essentially exactly how Charlie Kirk is sitting. And they want to tell you the medical examiner report confirms he was first hit in the C2 vertebrae right below the base of the skull. Biggest problem I see with that from the angle Tyler Robinson shoots him from is that would have hit him in the teeth or even above the teeth. There is no possible way that this round came from a 9-degree angle and a 9-degree slope and hit the C2 while not blowing through Charlie Kirk's face. It's not a thing. We also can see the C2 is not where that gunshot wound is. I can show you that right here. All right, as you can see here, yeah, he's got some tilt back now after he's been hit, but that round, sorry for my beard, that round is 2-3 inches below his chin. Okay, this round is not all the way up, just underneath the base of the jaw. It's pretty far down. I would say that's closer to the C4 or the C5 to where that round, to me, looks like he got hit. So big problems right away with this medical examiner report, but let's keep looking at this. All right, so we know this is not possible. Okay, this definitely didn't happen. But if we look at the actual sort of injury to Kirk, looks like he's shot closer to about right here, okay, on that left side of the neck. Now, if we look at it this way, now we can make this work to the location of the shot if it enters and hits the C5, but that's not what they're saying. They're saying it hit the C2, traveled down all his vertebrae. It doesn't work. Next thing with this, we're talking about a 30-06 round. Right now you have this 30-06 round traveling at 24 to 2,700 feet per second, or even less, doesn't even matter. Hits him, let's say, hits him in the C2, if this magic bullet that doesn't go through his face somehow, that then refracts straight down into the T1. Yeah, that's not what a 30-06 round is going to do if it hits a human neck vertebrae. We know it's going to blow right through. But even if there was some weird refraction, bullets aren't going to refract almost 90 degrees. We've talked about that, and then keep their actual velocity to be able to do that much damage.
So right away, we're starting to see what Candace is saying kind of does make sense when you look at it. So they're saying a round 30-06 would not do that, but I guess a lesser round would, possibly. Right? They're saying that there is a fragment somewhere down here. This is what Candace, let me move this up.
Not really.
Sorry, let me move this up a little bit. Candace was saying there is a fragment somewhere around here, right? She was pointing to like the base where her shoulder blades are, like she said. So somewhere down here. Then it becomes, and I don't know what kind of ammunition or firearm would do this, so, but that wouldn't do that. Then we're also talking about when he changes this to come down here to make it actually work. Now we're talking about someone that's not on the roof. Now we're talking about someone that's either in a window or in the crowd. Candace is thinking the crowd, I believe. But yeah, it could be the window, crowd, maybe top of the crowd, since it was a very big crowd that was caving. It wasn't just like all flat. It was actually, as you went further back, it went up more. So seems like this person is helping her case quite a bit. I actually hope they get to connect to each other, because that would do her good in her investigation.
Really a thing. Again, so with just basic middle school math, we already disproved this whole medical examiner's report, or the fact that the shot was taken from where it was taken, a 9-degree slope from straight on. Charlie Kirk sitting flat, parallel chin to the ground. Not possible. It would have hit him in the teeth, not 5 inches lower than the teeth. It's not a thing. So because we know that's not possible, if we're assuming the medical examiner report is true and accurate, now we have to look at alternatives to how this could have taken place. Okay, so let's talk about a few. Well, let's look at that. We know where the actual wound is, which is here. Okay, well, we know it can't have come from that slope. Again, it goes straight through his teeth. Not a thing, unless his head was like literally all the way back. So what would it take for this round to have hit him where it hit him as an entrance wound and hit him in the C2 first? We can find that out pretty easily. We can start at the C2. We can come down with our angle here, and we can see that it actually would take a 38-degree upward angle for this to have potentially hit him where it hit him and then also hit the C2 first if he was shot from the front. Does that make a whole lot of sense? Well, maybe if the tunnel theory works, I don't know.
Maybe if the tunnel theory works, maybe if the detonator theory works. Because now we're angling kind of down where people were saying, where they thought the whole microphone detonating was. Now you're in that type of range. Now, since he's getting very exact with his angles here, it would have to be more over here for that to make sense, and then it would be going up like that. But yeah, that's an inch. I didn't even. Wow. Okay.
Oh, that one seemed weird at the time. And then also keep in mind the round still has to travel then straight back down, which bullets don't do. They don't do this. Okay, guys, you would expect a bullet to refract out this way, refract up this way. It's not going to reverse this massive direction back the other way. Okay. So I'll make it very clear. If he was shot from the front in the location he was shot and it hit him in the C2 first, it had to have come from an upward angle. It could not have come from a 9-degree downward slope. It's not anatomically possible. But this makes other theories actually possible. Now, the really popular theory that Rob O'Neill just talked about, and Range Day Bros talked about, a lot of people have talked about, which I have not discounted at all, have talked about him being shot from up and behind him. This is very interesting because this actually, besides one little piece, which is that they found around inside of him, this actually potentially makes the medical examiner report work with the injury and ballistics that all potentially work. Let's take a look at that. The C2 is going to be just behind the jaw there, as we've seen it, right? Now, if he gets shot from the back upper right, and again, we don't know what that angle would be because this is all hypothetical, right? We don't know where that shooter was, but anywhere you would think around the way the buildings were, they're all about that height, anywhere from like a 10 to maybe 15-degree angle here. Now, all of a sudden, if he's getting shot in the back right of the head that comes beneath the skull, anatomically, this actually works. It comes in the back underneath his skull, hits him in the C2, and then blows out at a normal refraction angle exactly where we expect to see the exit wound in this case. That actually works perfectly, ballistically, anatomically, to have created that initial impact into the C2. It probably blows down here through the C4, does some damage through C5, C6, through C7 through cavitation. The biggest issue here is this is an exit wound, which means there would be no bullet found inside Charlie's body. That goes against the medical examiner's report. All right, and then there's one final potential here, and that was actually brought forward by...
Just to touch on that really quick. That's interesting. So, Rob O'Neill, that was a gentleman. I played an episode of him speaking before. He was on Piers Morgan, just talking about how the official narrative just makes no sense to him. And he's a very experienced sniper as well. So he has a little bit of experience when it comes to this. A lot of experience, quite honestly. So he was suggesting something like this. Now, what that would be, let's actually find... Just real quick, let's actually find, I don't want to see the whole thing happen again, but I would love to see the crowd and what all that looked like. Let's see if we can find it. Because now we're talking about the crowd. Let's talk crowd. Charlie Kirk crowd. Now you're talking about something completely different. Man, so let's go here. pull this up. So now you're talking about it would be coming from here, because this is that side of him, right? This is as the gentleman's asking the question right here. He's asking the question. So Charlie's right here. Then it would be coming from this side, but it would be coming from up. And behind these people are windows, and then it goes up some more, and it's the top of a building. I feel like somebody would have saw that. And like he said, it goes against the whole thing being found in him and all that. So just something to consider there. But let's keep going.
Bullet found inside Charlie's body. That goes against the medical examiner's report. All right, and then there's one final potential here, and that was actually brought forward by Peak Prosperity. This is a fantastic video if you haven't seen it either. And he actually had the theory that the shot came from technically the front, but from a much more drastic angle, almost like a 45-degree angle. So we can look at that here too. All right, now, so this theory states that it must have come from a far more horizontal angle, right? It's because the front angle doesn't work at all, which I agree with, to come maybe up underneath the jaw. Even then, it's going to be tough where this comes to get to the C2. I don't think you do. I still think you get in the C4, but to cause the actual damage at a much more steep angle, now all of a sudden, the refraction as this comes in and comes through here, the refraction comes down and potentially works that way. That's actually a bullet refraction that makes sense. All right, but then the biggest problem we have with this is then this probably doesn't hit him in the C2 either. So where are we left? What's the problem? Well, the problem is that the official narrative with Tyler Robinson, where he took the shot from the angle he took the shot, like I told you at the start of the video, with the type of weapon that he used, is not possible and does not match the medical examiner's report anatomically or mathematically. It doesn't work. So you have to then either say the medical examiner's report can't be right, or Tyler Robinson isn't the shooter. These things cannot be true at the same time as far as we're sort of understanding it with science and math and physics. So what's the real story? I don't know. I don't know, guys. There's some very compelling things with a lot of different theories. But again, I'll just say this to wrap the video up. If the prosecution thinks it is going to, unless they have some crazy evidence we don't have, but let's say this medical examiner's report is true and they're going to go with the official narrative. They walk into that courtroom against the Menendez brothers legal team, one of the best legal teams they could put together, and you walk in there with some stuff an 8th grader can disprove through basic math and a protractor. Good luck.
Wow. Again, I was going to show you guys this at the end. Let's go through his demo, but this is his channel, man. He does great work. Served his country, retired Green Beret, absolute, just squared away individual. He's doing some great work on his channel. Definitely go and check him out. Please say that Coach Colin sent you, because I want this guy to see that, because I want to interview him on the podcast. Hopefully it works. Now, here is him going through the demo. I'm not going to show the actual firing and everything like that, but I'm just going to show you what he's using as a simulator. Let's go.
We're actually going to be shooting a pumpkin that's already down there, maybe the watermelon. This next thing, just a big fat pork shoulder blade, fat bone through here, twice, 2 times, 3 times as thick as my neck. Then, well, we figure if we're going to test a human vertebrae, why don't we use a cow vertebrae that we might just fold in half if we can. If not, tape it up, because I think cow vertebrae is a little bit stronger than human. We'll find out. Next, we figured, why don't we get real ridiculous and bring out the cow femurs? So we're going to shoot a cow femur, and then to make it even harder, we're going to slap on a huge slab of beef in front of the cow femur. And then, to top this whole test off, we have quarter-inch,
3/8, and 1/2-inch steel plates down there.
and we're going to see if literal steel can stop 30-06 rounds. So let's get to it.
So he's making this video again because of everything we've just been talking about. He is trying to really hash out everything, just see if any of this makes sense. Let's see here. Let's check this
Through
out.
this, as you can see. All right, here we go. Here's our cow femur. The damage to that. Literally snapped in half, and then our neck that we built that was nice, solid, thick, 4 or 5 inches of meat, absolutely obliterated. So yeah. So yeah, next we're gonna test the steel theory. So we're gonna actually shoot steel and see what happens. All right, guys.
So that right away, I mean, that's enough for me. But I mean, let's check out what actually happens with the steel and everything. I mean, they'll show us the aftermath. But yeah, man, that look what it did to a cow femur. He's using the same round that they said Tyler used. Something's not adding up. It's just not adding up. Here, let's see the aftermath.
Here we have and thank God we got an actual competition shooter here to hit this 2-inch by 2-inch plate from 100 yards, which I probably wouldn't have been able to. Clean through 1/4-inch steel, clean through 3/8 inch steel, and 1/2 inch steel. Almost, or actually it potentially did actually blow out the side of that. So guys, final thoughts. Literally nothing we brought out here today could stop a 30-06 round. Literal steel can't stop a 30-06 round. So actually, the whole man of steel argument doesn't even make sense, does it? So yeah, we just wanted to bring this one to you guys, show you what a 30-06 round can really do, and so we can sort of kind of stop the confusion about if this was possible or not. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this one. We'll catch you in the next one.
Again, doing great work. Absolutely great work. Check out this video. It's called Charlie Kirk Steel Neck Debunked with 30-06 round ballistics tests. Doing great work. Absolutely great work. Man, just wild. Absolutely wild. So again, something's just not adding up at all. It's just not making any sense, you know? And I'm glad he and Candace are doing the work that they're doing, because there you go. You know, and I just brought these two together just to make what both of them are saying even stronger. Candace is actually talking to people and making sense there. This gentleman here, he's actually going out and doing the tests. You bring both of them together with what they have in terms of results, and it just completely makes the official narrative fall apart. So I don't know what that means. I don't know what that looks like. Like he brought up before, when it comes to trial, you have to just see what plays out there, but it's not making a whole lot of sense. But you know, honestly, I know some people don't like it. Charlie is lucky to have a friend like Candace. Really lucky to have a friend like Candace. And let's wrap it up with this video. I liked it. Man, that would have been your president and vice president. Could you imagine? That would have been a real golden age. Definitely would have been a real golden age. Anyways, guys, just wanted to bring that to you. I'm out of here.